ExamPrep.School. Missouri Property Insurance Producer Exam, exam code 52. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Common to all lines. Insurance terms and related concepts. Pertinent property insurance only. Policy provisions and contract law. Types of policies. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under a standard H03 policy that satisfies the coinsurance requirement, losses to the dwelling under coverage A are settled on what basis? A. Replacement cost of the damaged portions without deduction for depreciation. B. Actual cash value of the damaged property. C. Extended replacement cost up to a specified percentage above the policy limit. D. Functional replacement cost based on modern materials. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is replacement cost because on an H03 that meets the 80% coinsurance requirement, dwelling losses are paid on a replacement cost basis without depreciation. Reason B is not correct. This option describes actual cash value, which includes depreciation and applies only when the coinsurance requirement is not met or for other coverages. Reason C is not correct. Extended replacement cost provides extra coverage above the policy limit, but it is an optional endorsement, not the basic settlement basis. Reason D is not correct. Functional replacement cost pays to repair with modern materials, which is not a standard valuation method under the H03 form. Question 2. Which of the following structures would be covered under coverage B of a homeowner's policy? A. An attached garage sharing a common wall with the main dwelling. B. An in-ground swimming pool with no separate cover endorsement. C. A detached tool shed located 15 feet away from the dwelling. D. A septic system permanently installed underground. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is a detached tool shed located 15 feet away, because coverage B applies to structures separate from the dwelling by clear space or only connected by a utility line. Reason A is not correct. Attached structures are considered part of the dwelling and are covered under coverage A, not coverage B. Reason B is not correct. An in-ground pool is considered a structure but is excluded or limited unless specifically endorsed. Reason D is not correct. Septic systems are mechanical or utility equipment and are typically excluded from coverage B. Question 3. Under an H03 policy, what is the maximum special limit for theft of silverware under coverage C? A. $1,500. B. $5,000. C. $2,500. D. $10,000. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is $2,500 because the H03 form imposes a sublimit of $2,500 for theft of silverware under personal property coverage. Reason A is not correct. The $1,500 limit applies to certain types of jewelry, not silverware. Reason B is not correct. A $5,000 limit exceeds the standard H03 silverware theft sublimit and is not correct without an endorsement. Reason D is not correct. A $10,000 limit is far above the standard policy sublimit and would require a special endorsement. Question 4. After a covered fire damages the insured's dwelling to the point that it cannot be occupied, which scenario qualifies for coverage D? Loss of use under a homeowner policy? A. A neighboring fire causes smoke infiltration into the insured's home without any evacuation order. B. The insured voluntarily relocates for a cruise they had planned before the fire. C. The insured's home is uninhabitable due to fire damage affecting major structural elements. D. Minor smoke damage in the basement that does not prevent occupancy. The correct answer is C. Coverage D applies when direct damage by a covered peril renders the dwelling uninhabitable, triggering additional living expense benefits. Reason A is not correct. Smoke infiltration without an official evacuation order does not meet the uninhabitable requirement for loss of use. Reason B is not correct. Voluntary relocation unrelated to a covered loss does not trigger loss of use coverage. Reason D is not correct. Damage that does not prevent occupancy fails to satisfy the uninhabitable condition required for loss of use. Question 5. An insured selects an HO2 policy instead of an HO3. In which way does an HO2 differ from an HO3 regarding covered perils? A. Provides open peril coverage for both dwelling and personal property. B. Offers open peril coverage for the dwelling but named perils for personal property. C. Covers dwelling and personal property on named perils only. D. Covers personal property on open perils but restricts dwelling to named perils. The correct answer is C. The HO2 broad form provides named peril coverage for both the dwelling and personal property, whereas the HO3 ensures the dwelling on an open perils basis. Reason A is not correct. HO2 does not offer open peril coverage. It is strictly a named peril policy. Reason B is not correct. That describes an HO3 policy, not an HO2, which does not include open peril dwelling coverage. Reason D is not correct. HO2 does not provide open peril coverage for personal property. It ensures both sections on a named peril basis. Question 6. A tenant purchases an HO4 policy. Which item is covered under this policy following a covered loss? A. Landlord-owned built-in dishwasher. B. Detached outbuilding owned by the landlord. C. Tenant-installed ceiling fan in the rental unit. D. Internal electrical wiring concealed in the walls of the rental unit. The correct answer is C. HO4 covers the tenant's personal property and any improvements or betterments installed by the tenant. Landlord-owned and structural items are excluded. Reason A is not correct. Landlord-owned appliances are considered building property and are excluded from tenant's coverage. Reason B is not correct. Outbuildings owned by the landlord are part of the building and not covered under an HO4. Reason D is not correct. Concealed internal wiring is part of the building structure and is excluded from HO4 coverage. Question 7. A condominium owner purchases an HO6 policy. Which building item is covered under this policy? A. Shared swimming pool amenity on condominium grounds. B. Structural load-bearing walls of the building. C. Interior carpeting installed by the insured. D. Exterior siding of the building. The correct answer is C. HO6 covers unit owner improvements and betterments such as interior fixtures and flooring, while excluding structural components and shared amenities. Reason A is not correct. Shared condominium amenities are not part of the insured's unit improvements and are excluded. Reason B is not correct. Structural walls are building components and excluded under an HO6 policy. Reason D is not correct. Exterior siding is part of the common structure and is not covered by HO6. Question 8. Under an HO5 policy, which scenario involving personal property would be covered, but would typically be excluded under an HO3 policy? A. Jewelry is accidentally damaged when dropped on a hard surface. B. A personal television is damaged when a covered vehicle collides with the insured's car in the garage. C. A wooden deck collapses due to normal wear and tear. D. Personal property is flooded during a river overflow. The correct answer is A. HO5 insures personal property on an open perils basis, including accidental breakage, whereas HO3 covers personal property only for named perils and excludes drop damage. Reason B is not correct. Collision by a covered vehicle causing damage to personal property is a fire-related peril under both forms, not a unique HO5 benefit. Reason C is not correct. Collapse due to wear and tear is an excluded loss under both HO3 and HO5. Reason D is not correct. Flood is excluded under both HO3 and HO5 unless a separate flood policy is purchased. Question 9. An insured with a 90-year-old cottage applies for an HO8 policy. Which factor makes this policy appropriate instead of an HO3? A. The dwelling is located in a designated coastal flood zone. B. Insured desires coverage for basement flood damage. C. Replacement cost of like-kind materials exceeds actual cash value by a wide margin. D. Insured wants personal property covered on an open perils basis. The correct answer is C. HO8 is designed for older homes where replacement cost far exceeds market value, providing actual cash value coverage rather than full replacement cost. Reason A is not correct. Flood zone location does not determine use of HO8 versus HO3. Reason B is not correct. Flood coverage requires a separate flood policy and is not a factor in selecting HO8. Reason D is not correct. Open perils personal property coverage is not unique to HO8 and does not drive its selection. Question 10. A landlord insures a rental dwelling under a DP1 basic form policy. Which peril would be covered under this form? A. Damage caused when a tenant overloads an electrical outlet leading to a short circuit. B. Collapse of the roof under heavy snowfall. C. Lightning strike that ignites the wooden siding. D. Loss from theft of appliances left at the vacant unit. The correct answer is C. DP1 basic form provides named peril coverage for fire, lightning, and internal explosion. Lightning strike is explicitly covered. Reason A is not correct. Electrical short circuits are not categorized as internal explosions under DP1 and are excluded. Reason B is not correct. Collapse due to weight of snow is not a basic form peril unless covered by endorsement. Reason D is not correct. Theft is excluded under the DP1 basic form without vandalism and malicious mischief coverage. Question 11. Under a commercial package policy, which of the following would be covered under Coverage A, building, rather than Coverage B, business personal property, assuming each is located within 100 feet of the described premises? A. Detachable outdoor lighting fixtures. B. Leased office equipment. C. Movable file cabinets. D. Shrubs and trees. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is shrubs and trees, because Coverage A includes outdoor fences, antennas, trees, plants, shrubs, or lawns located within 100 feet of the premises, whereas Coverage B applies to movable property. Reason A is not correct. Detachable lighting fixtures are not permanently part of the building and are classified as business personal property. Reason B is not correct. Leased office equipment remains personal property and is insured under Coverage B, not the building coverage. Reason C is not correct. Movable file cabinets are not affixed to the building structure and therefore fall under business personal property. Question 12. Which of the following perils is covered under a causes of loss basic form in a commercial package policy? A. Weight of snow and ice. B. Damage by burglars. C. Collapse due to hidden decay. D. Water damage resulting from accidental discharge of a sprinkler system. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is water damage from accidental discharge of a sprinkler system, because the basic form names that peril explicitly, while the other perils are either included only in broader forms or excluded. Reason A is not correct. Weight of snow and ice is covered only under the broad form, not the basic form. Reason B is not correct. Damage by burglars involves theft, which is not a named peril in the basic form. Reason C is not correct. Collapse due to hidden decay is excluded except under specific collapse causes in the broad form. Question 13. A metal fabrication shop holds a commercial property policy on a causes of loss broad form. After a severe ice storm, its flat roof buckles and partially collapses under the accumulated ice and snow. Under this form, which peril, classified as an additional peril, would respond to this collapse? A. Vandalism. B. Weight of ice, snow, or sleet. C. Riot or civil commotion. D. Volcanic eruption. The correct answer is B. The weight of ice, snow, or sleet is one of the additional perils specifically added by the broad form, covering damage caused by their accumulation, including collapse. Reason A is not correct. This choice describes willful damage by persons, not structural collapse under weight. Reason C is not correct. Civil commotion covers damage from riots, not collapse due to ice accumulation. Reason D is not correct. Volcanic eruption covers ash and lava damage, not collapse from ice and snow. Question 14. A company holds a commercial property policy written on a causes of loss special form. Over several years, corroded piping has gradually leaked, causing damage to structural supports. Under the special form's exclusionary approach, which cause of loss is most likely excluded from coverage? A. Wear and tear, decay, or corrosion. B. Lightning strike. C. Vandalism. D. Weight of snow, sleet, or ice. The correct answer is A. The special form is open perils, but specifically excludes gradual causes such as wear and tear, decay, and corrosion, which applies here. Reason B is not correct. Lightning is a covered open peril under the special form. Reason C is not correct. Vandalism is included among covered perils unless specifically excluded. Reason D is not correct. Weight of snow, sleet, or ice is a covered open peril, not an exclusion. Question 15. A book retailer is calculating its loss for business income coverage after a fire forced its store to close. Under the standard business income definition, net income refers to which of the following? A. Gross earnings minus operating expenses and income taxes. B. Net profit before income taxes plus continuing normal operating expenses. C. Revenue less cost of goods sold and non-continuing expenses. D. Total sales less net profit after taxes. The correct answer is B. Business income coverage defines net income as net profit before income taxes plus continuing normal operating expenses, aligning recovery with ongoing financial obligations and profit position. Reason A is not correct. Income taxes are excluded from the policy's net income calculation. Reason C is not correct. Non-continuing expenses are excluded. Net income includes only continuing expenses. Reason D is not correct. Net profit after taxes is not used. The policy definition uses pre-tax profit. Question 16. After a fire disrupts operations, a manufacturer turns to its extra expense coverage to maintain business continuity. Which of the following expenditures would typically qualify under this coverage? A. Rental cost of a temporary production facility. B. Cost of an advertising campaign to attract customers back. C. Lost revenue from reduced production. D. Standard repair costs for damaged equipment. The correct answer is A. Extra expense coverage reimburses necessary additional costs to continue operations. Renting a temporary facility qualifies, whereas lost revenue, advertising, and standard repairs are covered elsewhere. Reason B is not correct. Advertising expenses are generally excluded unless specifically endorsed. Reason C is not correct. Lost revenue is covered under business income coverage, not extra expense. Reason D is not correct. Standard repairs are covered under property damage coverage, not extra expense. Question 17. Under ISO, Business Owners Policy Eligibility Guidelines, a restaurant must not exceed what maximum seating capacity? A. 65 seats. B. 75 seats. C. 85 seats. D. 100 seats. The correct answer is B. The ISO Business Owners Policy specifies that restaurants are eligible only if they have no more than 75 seats. Other values either fall below the threshold maximum or exceed it, and thus do not represent the correct seating limit. Reason D is not correct. Ordering fund transfers is a remedial or judicial action, not part of examination authority. Reason C is not correct. This seating capacity exceeds the maximum limit set by ISO for restaurant eligibility. Reason D is not correct. This exceeds the ISO specified maximum seating capacity for eligible restaurants. Question 18. A boutique clothing retailer has a BOP with standard property coverages. A fire damages display racks and inventory valued at $15,000. Which of the following losses is covered under the BOP's standard property coverage without requiring an endorsement or additional premium? A. Damage to business personal property used to display garments. B. Loss of accounts receivable records. C. Erosion and collapse of a retaining wall. D. Damage to outdoor signage located 300 feet from the premises. The correct answer is A. Business personal property is one of the BOP's core property coverages and is covered by default without any additional endorsement or premium. Reason B is not correct. Accounts receivable records are only covered under the accounts receivable coverage extension, not the core property coverage. Reason C is not correct. Collapse of retaining walls is not a covered cause of loss under the standard property coverage. Reason D is not correct. Outdoor signage beyond the typical 100-foot limit is not included in the standard coverage without a specific endorsement. Question 19. A small accounting firm holds a BOP that includes general liability coverage. A client sues the firm seeking punitive damages plus compensation for professional negligence, resulting in financial loss. Which portion of this claim is most likely excluded under the BOP's liability coverage? A. Punitive damages awarded by the court. B. Compensatory damages for financial harm. C. Legal defense costs incurred in the suit. D. Settlement amounts for bodily injury. The correct answer is A. Punitive damages are specifically excluded under the BOP's liability section, while compensatory damages, defense costs, and bodily injury settlements are covered. Reason B is not correct. Compensatory damages for harm are covered as part of liability protection. Reason C is not correct. Legal defense costs are paid under the liability coverage. Reason D is not correct. Bodily injury settlements are within the scope of the liability coverage. Question 20. After a hailstorm forces an electronics repair shop with a BOP to close for 45 days to repair roof damage, how does the BOP's business income coverage respond to the lost income? A. Reimburse actual net income lost during the period of restoration, up to policy limits. B. Pay the projected profits for a full 12 months regardless of restoration time. C. Provide benefits only if closure exceeds a 60-day waiting period. D. Automatically include an extended period of 365 days beyond repairs. The correct answer is A. Business income coverage reimburses the actual net income lost during the period of restoration, subject to policy limits and waiting periods. Reason B is not correct. Coverage only reimburses actual loss sustained, not projected profits for a full year. Reason C is not correct. There is no 60-day waiting period. Waiting periods are much shorter and specified in the policy. Reason D is not correct. Extended period of indemnity is not automatic and must be added by endorsement. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.